How's everyone doing? Happy, what are we, Wednesday? Yes, it's Wednesday. Yeah, absolutely. Norma Jean here for the last time at the location she is at. Next time you see her, she'll be here because we're getting ready to go to Egypt.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and Melzie's got her laptop going today, which is amazing. And we've got a special guest today, Jessica, the Cryptid Huntress. So please welcome Jessica. Yeah, Jessica, will you share a little bit about yourself with everyone, please?
Yes. Oh my gosh. It's good to see you guys, my friends. I am Jessica Jones. I'm also known as the Cryptid Huntress. I am a longtime Bigfoot field researcher based out of Georgia. I don't live too far from Norma Jean. Okay. Yeah, I have a radio show. Oh, it's actually a spaced out radio. I'm the Cryptid Huntress over there on the weekends, and I have a YouTube channel and Rumble, and where I do shows on cryptids, mostly Bigfoot and Dogman and stuff like that. But yeah, mostly I'm just a Bigfoot field researcher. I'm also a remote viewer. My entire team takes a very unconventional approach to the field research, and we are extensively trained in remote viewing. So it's just another cool tool to have in our tool belt when we're doing our research. So I do a show on remote viewing strange things every Thursday night on my channel. So yeah, that's just me in a nutshell right there.
Beautiful. Well said. And can you tell us a little bit more about what remote viewing is so everyone can understand?
Yes, remote viewing. Well, the type of remote viewing that I do, I've been trained kind of in the style of what our militaries use, if they'll admit to using it to this day. But yeah, so back in the 1960s, I believe, like during the Cold War era, Russia and the U.S. started using psychic spies in their militaries, and so it's just basically a way of psychic spying. It's a way of using our psychic abilities, utilizing our enhanced human capabilities in a scientific way, for the most part. So I am trained in coordinate remote viewing. I'm also trained in several other modes of remote viewing, but the main one that I use, the one that I'm most comfortable with, is coordinate remote viewing, where I'm actually given a set of numbers, which are just completely random. They don't have to be actual coordinates of a location, just random numbers, and they are assigned to a target. And a target could be anything from a statue, like the Statue of Liberty, to a historical event, to what I've been doing lately are alleged cryptid attacks on people and unspecified animal attacks. That's what people are really interested in right now. When people are being attacked by packs of wild dogs, but they don't really seem like they're probably packs of wild dogs. So I look into stuff like that. It's just a form of psychic spying, basically. But it's really fun. It's my favorite thing to do. I also help find missing people. Not well, it just depends. Sometimes the head of my team will task us. They're blind targets, so I have no idea what they are. It's just a set of 8 numbers is what I get, and I'm able to take those 8 numbers and extract so much information, so much data out of the matrix that by the end of my session, when I sit down doing a remote viewing session, I have page after page of just data. And I hand that to my tasker and I say, all right, here you go. What was that target? And usually I can kind of give it, I kind of have like a rough idea of what the target is by the time I'm done with it.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, everyone wants to know, what is the dog man?
The dog man, it's like a werewolf. We have dog man sightings all over the country and all over the world.
Yep. Awesome. Okay, cool. And Zelda says over on YouTube, I sense that being done to me. So yeah, absolutely. So people can remote view and you may get a sense of it. So yeah, Norma did that to me yesterday at the airport.
When did you realize you had this gift?
Well, I grew up, remote viewing is anyone can remote view. But I did grow up with very psychic families. Like my family on both sides, my mom and my dad's sides of the family were very psychic. I come from a long line of super psychic women. I couldn't get away with anything when I was a teenager. Okay. So, but I was always kind of tuned in and was able to, I knew that I had psychic abilities, but it was almost kind of embarrassing to talk about it. I got to tell you guys, it was easier for me to come out as a Bigfoot field researcher than it was as a remote viewer because I got shunned, especially by the Bigfoot community when I came out, talking about my remote viewing stuff and how extensively my team is trained in it.
Yeah,
it was odd, very odd.
That is odd because I know in my Serafina, who I work closely with, definitely we've done it in a class where we all remote viewed and went into somebody's bathroom or somebody lost something and we would find it, right? And so it's that capacity that when you're energetically connected to the overlay consciousness, so to speak, or the consciousness of all, you can gather quite a bit of information that people just don't realize. And these gifts are coming in for people, and we do all have these gifts. You've got a very warm, welcoming group here. We all believe in what others don't.
That's awesome. Yeah. And that's part of what I kind of do is I like to, I've been introducing the Bigfooting community, let's just say, or the cryptid community to new modalities of research. Okay. And that's like the remote viewing. And I'm getting a pretty good following, people are very much open to it now. They're much more open today than they were when I first started talking about these things and doing these targets. Your vibe attracts your tribe, right?
Yes.
And so it helps just to put it out there, and whoever wants to be interested in it, I try to give little tidbits of information and not instructions, but just like encouragement, I guess, for people to tap into their psychic abilities and to decalcify that pineal gland, okay, and just to be aware of their environment and their surroundings, and maybe even try to remote view and things like that. So it's really fun. I love it.
Yes. Awesome. Oh, we've got Tammy on here. So I just got back from Sedona. Yeah, we had a beautiful trip down there, and here's somebody just saying, I did Crystal's hair today. She was with you at the retreat in Sedona. Yeah, it's a small world, Tammy. We're all connected. Yeah, absolutely. Norma, do you want to talk a little bit and we'll jump into the remote view and then we continue from there?
What would you like for me to talk about?
Well, you gave out some coordinates, did you?
Yeah, well, I gave her the 4 of the 8 random numbers. You gave her 4 and I gave her 4.
Okay. Oh, that's it. So we didn't even give her the okay. Awesome. So Melzie, we gave her some random numbers. that are connected to us, so to speak, but also set the intention with it of what we wanted picked up on. And we discussed this last week, but Jessica doesn't know. So we're going to be shh until.
Oh, gosh. Oh, my gosh. So you guys want to talk about this on air right now?
Yeah.
Yeah, usually I know what the target is before I go live. So this will be interesting. Okay.
Yeah, that's okay. That's okay. I've got it ready to put up when we're ready to go.
This is an exciting game. Okay.
You're my friend.
You can do it.
Oh, yeah. 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 So I did, Norma Jean gave me some numbers, and I just did these today, actually. So it was just today. I'm a super busy lady. And so before, after I got done with my show this afternoon, I was like, ooh, I better do that target. Thank goodness. I did it. So yeah, I did. I love remote viewing so much. And like I said, I do a show every Thursday night. I'm given tasked with blind targets from, I have like 2 or 3 different people that give me targets that I trust. Last week, my target was from Tyler Koala of Journey to Truth conference, or excuse me, podcast. I spoke at his conference, so I always say conference, but Journey to Truth podcast. What the heck? And he tasked me with a blind target of Area 51. It was an underground. It was an underground facility, level 27 of this base, a big facility, and it was based off of testimony from a retired, I think it's Colonel Billy Fay Woodard. Okay, and he had given some testimony a while back, and was talking about how it was connected to Inner Earth, and he was a liaison to Inner Earth, the Inner Earth beings down there, the giants and stuff, and it all correlated to my data. It was wild, and it was a blind target, so I think it blew Tyler away, and it blew me away too, getting that data. It's always surprising when I'm on target, and I'm not saying I'm always on target, just a precursor, okay? But I usually am pretty close. So
yeah, absolutely. Awesome. All right, well, tell us what you've got, and then we'll pull it up.
Okay, so I'm just going to go over some of my data with you guys.
Yeah, 100%.
Like, I feel like I'm kind of on the spot. This is crazy. Okay, so the sensory data is what we go, the first things that when we go into the target, and this is coordinate remote viewing, we're looking for the sensory data. That's like the meat and potatoes of remote viewing. Okay, so this is for my sensory data. I got superfluous, I think that's how you pronounce that. Many, I was getting like multiples, something that had like a bunch of something in there. So I got many, green, avid, round, loud. I felt threatened, and I felt like I was teleporting, and something that was triangular. Now, I drew something that looked like stones, like a bunch of stones, and it like a doorway in the middle, maybe, or something square. Okay, I'll show you my picture if you guys can. I don't know if you can see it. That's my stage 3. Okay, my stage 2 is my analytic overlay. So let's get to the analytic overlay. Okay. So like I said, I was feeling like there was a bunch of something. There was a whole bunch of something. I don't know, whatever. That was like the first thing I got was something that was multiplied, or a bunch. I was getting a bunch of different colors and orbs, like something that was round and circular. I got something, I felt it was like cloned. Like I said, it was like a bunch or something that was cloned. I heard, clairaudiently, I heard a minute. Okay. And then I started hearing sirens and alarms. Something that was very magical. Okay, I was picking up on a super magical vibe with whatever this was. And then I heard rumbling, or rumble, kind of like with the platform that we're on right now. We're on Rumble, right? So yeah. I was getting like rumble, and I was picking up on, like I said, rocks, stones, and then a gateway. And then I got Stargate. Okay, so gateway, Stargate, and then I got tunnels and a tunnel system. And then I heard my lab. Okay, so my lab, I think it's like military abductions or something, maybe, I'm not sure, but I heard my lab or a lab, my lab or a lab. So that was my first page. That's my data, and we can go over this, and then I'll continue on to the rest, to stage 4, because I only went to stage 4 on this, but I got 3 pages of data. And so that is my remote viewing data, stages 1 through 3. Okay, so tell me how I did. Was I completely off target?
You're so good.
Was it?
All right,
okay.
shall we show her? Let's show her. All right.
Okay.
That's very good. So
Okay.
our audience knows about this. We did mention it last week because we couldn't help it because that's just how we are. I'm just going to remove the overlay.
Is this a pyramid? I don't mean to interrupt, but is it a pyramid by any chance?
Well, you know, I am going to Egypt soon, so that could have been under the residual, but it's Ascension Island. Have you heard of Ascension Island?
No, I have not.
Oh, see? So you nailed a lot of things. So if everyone can see it there. So if you were going to Google Earth, if you wanted a bigger view of it yourself, Jessica, it is a military, it's the most uncovered we've seen it. And so Norma and I were looking at places on Google Earth and started looking at like dragons along the ocean down. Where was that? What area was that, Norma?
We was on the coast of Georgia. We was down in and around Savannah, and then we was just going up the East Coast, and that's where we was finding that, and then we just ended up out in the middle of the ocean because you seeing the striations on the ocean floor, and then you just
I saw like a whale, and I saw a sailboat, and then I kept scrolling, and I came across Ascension Island. I'm like, what the heck is this?
I was like, where? What are you looking at?
Right? Yeah. And then we put FCB onto it a bit. Now some of it's blocked out, and I'm just going to zoom in a little bit so you guys can all see. There is an Royal Air Force Station there. There's a bit of a park, which doesn't mean much. But if you look at the water, you can see the vibrations in the water around the edge of it. It's very interesting. And it doesn't look like normal ocean water because it kind of vibrates in a weird way all around.
Oh my God.
Can you stop right there? So see, if you zoom in, there's a face.
Where?
We did it on Hammer Time, right there, on the far right.
On the far right? Okay.
There you go. See, there's a face right there. And so we did a decode on this on Hammer Time. And anyways, there's a lot to this island, right? That is a deep dive kind of.
Right. Well, when you look at the whole thing, this kind of looks over here, looks like a thing, or it could be a face tipping down, right? Like
it looks like a face, but
it's fascinating. And then there's some.
And off of this shelf.
Go ahead.
If you zoom in a little bit more, it's hard to see, but in that water area, there's straight lines. So you got to zoom super far in, and you might not be able to see it here. Nope, it's off the tip. But there's straight lines.
We haven't quite got the tip. Yeah. Okay.
And so there's straight lines in the water that look like maybe it was like maybe there were antique artifacts there, like Atlantis or
100%.
something, right? Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then we get things like this, right? So we get this as definitely military. What came up at one point was it's a spot to take souls that need to be released back to source to be dealt with, so to speak.
Ooh. Oh my gosh! I actually picked up the word atonement. Okay, so that's interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and it's quite fascinating. So some of it is definitely blocked off, but not as much as was before. And you keep seeing what these little weird, points that look like craters in the top of a mountain, right, or in a mound, which is fascinating too. Yeah. But we can see quite a bit. So what else did you get?
Okay. So I'm going to go to stage 4 now. And I quit at stage 4 because if I'm like totally off target, like there's no point in keep going to like stage 5. So I was going to get some feedback from you guys.
Yeah,
that's right. Okay. So here we are. So my stage 4 data, this is, more sensory data, and then the analytic overlay of me trying to rationalize what I'm seeing. And so the sensory data, I was picking up something sharp and rocky, stacked, and I was getting I was feeling like I was getting taken upwards. something that was triangular, angled, and with a lot of angles. I was seeing a whole bunch of angles and like sharp lines. I was seeing something more like a pyramid. I thought I was looking at pyramids or something, sharp edges and rock stacks, like stacks of rocks. I wrote down shoes. I don't know how that fits in, but anyways, but I was picking up meters, metrics, and a sound bath. Okay. And so that's where I started picking up on frequencies and cymatics.
Yeah, 100%.
Okay. 100%. And I picked up on sound healing and a portal. There's portals or a portal. I wrote portal like singular, but I actually picked up a black hole and a wormhole. Okay, so wormhole and black hole with the portal. Yeah. I picked up on something very ancient, and okay, this is kind of called peacocking, like where you hear one word, but you kind of peacock off that word. So I got adjustment, attunement, and atonement. Okay. Yep. Also, I picked up on ancient ruins, crystals, and something gifted. Okay. But something dark. I was picking up something dark, but that doesn't mean like dark energies, but just dark, and ancient.
It's hidden. Yeah, it's hidden. It is absolutely. And I get that you were picking up on Egypt a bit because that's been highly in my vibration. Also, you were given 7777, right?
Yes. Yes. Yeah. I actually wrote down Egypt.
777 is Egypt, and it is.
Oh wow. Well, see, I didn't know that, but I wrote down Egypt in the AOL. So Egypt, and AOL is kind of like what you write down to like get it out of your brain because it's not always right when you're doing the AOL. You want the sensory data over the AOL. Okay, right. But my AOL a lot of times has what the target is in it. Okay, I've been doing this for a long time. I've been remote viewing for a while, and I've done a lot of targets. So, yeah, it's interesting though, right? Like I was just given a set of numbers, and I got all that data out of those numbers. So beautiful.
I have a question.
It's pretty fun.
So we believed like that what we were researching, like all the things that you said, that there was a portal, that there were ancient ruins there, that I think that they were doing something nefarious, like in collecting data, to get to there, like you can only get there like every other week or something. It's really difficult to get in and to get supplies, but it sits on a huge major fault line in the middle of the ocean. And so what we saw, or what we believe, was that in 2017 that there was a takeover of the island by the Q team. Do you
100%?
You speak to that?
Wow. Oh, are you talking about with in accordance to my data? Mm-hmm. I didn't catch any of that with my data. No, I didn't get anything about Q or anything in my data. I was just kind of picking up, I guess, on the landmass for the most part, and like what was there. And yeah, no, I didn't pick up on that. So I don't know. I can't speak on that one.
Yeah, and it also says Ascension Island is an isolated volcanic island south of the equator in the Atlantic Ocean. So here's some other little photos. Can you guys see those okay? Are they showing up?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Because I can't see what you're seeing right now. So
we can see them.
Awesome.
Yeah, you're doing good.
I want to go to that beach.
It's beautiful.
Yeah. You want to go everywhere, Tanja?
Oh, I know. We're going everywhere. We're going everywhere.
Well,
yeah.
What's amazing is like what you're talking about, that is seems as though it's like a volcanic mass. And sometimes when you zoom out on it, it's almost like, it almost makes you want to think that it almost seems as though it's like this huge ship that's just masked, you know? And a lot of the drawing that you got, where it was like a lot of boulders and stuff, you can't see it in the picture, but they do have it near, like close to what looks like an observatory on the island, where there were these like cone, like half-shaped egg cone looking dome things that were out there that you can't see, but they're there.
So I wonder, I can't.
I'm sorry.
No, you're good. You're good. I'm just trying to see if I can get in on any of these, but yeah, it looks quite beautiful. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yeah, well done, Jessica. So I just wanted to doing that with you is just a good validation for everyone to understand that you know what the F you're doing, so to speak.
Hey, I like
Right?
being put to the test. It's I mean, like I said, this is my favorite thing. I do this for fun, and I'm not terrible at it, but yeah, I mean, just doing that right before I came on the show tonight. So I mean, I could have gotten a little deeper in it. I apologize for not getting deeper in it, but
No, you're
yeah.
good, and that looks a lot like a right about there.
Oh yeah, that could be a pyramid right there.
It is.
A lot of those things are covered up.
And I think there's a lot more that we don't get to see, right? So as per usual. Yeah. No, it's fascinating. Where were those domes, Norma? Do you remember?
I think they're down.
There's the airport, right? The landing strip. Yeah. No, that's okay.
And I think it was like right around in that area where there's what seems to be an observatory, but you have to get really zoomed in on it to be able to see them.
Yeah. Fascinating. There's actually a church there, hey? Yeah. Grotto of Our Lady of Ascension.
Interesting.
Fascinating, right? It's just fascinating. There's nothing here. And then Scout Beach Camp Hunt, like it's just really interesting. So here's the whole town. And what did we say? There was something about, and there's an island museum, an Ascension Island Museum. Yeah, the children's playground. There's another church on this tiny island. There's another church. Yeah, it's fascinating. Absolutely. But that beach looks so beautiful.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so I'm just going to run around the edge here a bit. It's certainly worth going to explore. And also, Melzie, what else did you guys get? I would assume it was taken over, really.
Well, we were also studying DNA because we were studying this about the time that the Q-Post Ascension came out and Protector DNA. And
right.
We were looking at did they have software that they were using for and collecting, and if they were, maybe this would be a place that they could collect it. But we also believed that there were portals here, like maybe they're using some type of Tesla technology, or we call it Tesla, or some type of advanced technology for like CERN-ish, you know.
Right. Well, look at the vibrations through here, right?
Yeah,
like that's not normal. That's not how these waves would come in. And
well,
actually,
we talked about that too, that there was something, it looked almost organic, you know, that there was like a plasmic element to it that you could see around the island.
Of course.
Well, I was picking up on frequencies and cymatics and some kind of sound. I mean, there's all sorts of like sound frequency weaponry that they're using on us right now, and weather manipulation, all that stuff. Y'all know that. Y'all know all about that. Y'all know more about it than I do, probably. But I did pick up on frequencies and stuff that was emanating from whatever this was that I was looking at.
Absolutely.
And I can't remember. Age really was the one that found that information about the Q team coming in. We did like a long decode on this. We have a Telegram group, and our whole Telegram group would pitch in different information. So it was awesome, and it was late night too. So I kind of can't remember.
Yeah, absolutely, all good. Yeah, absolutely. The deities hid this island. Yeah, we're not sure. Look at the water. Exactly. Yeah, if you place the head to the bottom, does the top have ears? Yeah, it pretty much looks like it. Awesome. So yeah, there you have it. And I saw a whale. Yeah, there is something. I saw a whale in the striations in the bottom of the ocean. That's what started the whole random hunting. Yeah, absolutely. So perfect. Jessica, what else have you been up to recently? Share us a story about, Bigfoot or Dogman. We'd love to hear.
Yeah. Well, I just came in from the woods over the weekend. I go out with my team. I'm actually a member of 3 different Bigfoot and paranormal field research teams. And I spent a lot of time out in the woods. And I know people see me all over the internet all the time doing my shows, but I'm actually a Bigfoot field researcher first, and I always have been. And so, we were out in the field. This place that we research is called The Meadow. We call it the Meadow Project, and it's at an undisclosed location here in the south of the U.S., southeastern U.S. And yeah, I actually took my son this time, which I don't usually do. I kept him back at base camp while the rest of the team goes out. My team has actually documented a portal out there, and we've sent people inside of the portal, and they live to tell about it. And they came out of it, and we have that videoed. We have it on video. We haven't released it to the public yet. But the head of my team wrote a book about it. And so we're out there looking for Bigfoot. We started off as a Bigfoot field research team. I joined this team back in 2011, and my first team. And so I've been doing this for a little while, but yeah, we don't really talk about our research super, like 2 of my teams don't talk about our research at all publicly, but the one, Trey, the head of my team, wrote a book when that COVID stuff hit, you know, and so that kind of opened it up for me to be able to talk about my research when he wrote his book. And so, yeah, I got asked to speak at a conference pretty much right away, and it snowballed from there. And, but yeah, so that's why I never meant to go public with this. I never meant to go public with my Bigfoot stuff. But yeah, didn't have a whole lot of Bigfoot activity over the weekend. You know, a lot of times when we're out there looking for Bigfoot, we have encountered everything from like the portal to orbs. My goodness, we have so many orbs that follow us around and show up. We never go out in the woods without orbs. Somewhere out there.
Can you describe what an orb is for people?
I have no clue what an orb is. Okay, but I can try to tell you. I'm kidding. There's so many different types. We have orbs that are translucent and transparent. We have orbs that, you know, you'll see an orb in the woods and it'll go through the tree line. And the last one I saw was orange, and they're all different colors. Now the orange one, when I saw it, it shot through the trees, and then I heard a hoof, like a loud huff and a growl at the same time. And I made sure that I turned my flash. I never turn my flashlight on, but I had to make sure there were no bears in the area. And there was no bear there. But that's something that's very common is when we see an orange orb, it's usually followed by Bigfoot activity. Okay, so which cool. It's interesting, right? Yeah.
I wonder if that has to do. So let's break this down a little bit for everyone, because my understanding is Bigfoot the same as Sasquatch or similar?
It's the exact same thing. I just say Bigfoot. Yeah, it's my term. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's okay. In Canada, we tend to say Sasquatch. So my understanding is that they live in the 4th dimension, but they visit the 3rd dimension. Yeah. And they can't have babies. They can't make babies in the 4th dimension. They have to come to the 3rd dimension to make babies and be physical.
I heard that too. Isn't that amazing?
Yeah, that's something that my team, when I first joined that team that I'm on, I just went out there to go experience Bigfoot. I got invited out to the field for a fun expedition after I went to go see some guys that give a presentation on their Bigfoot field research. And I had no intentions of being a Bigfoot field researcher at all. I just wanted to go. They invited me, and I said, hey, I'm the kind of person that likes to see things for myself. I like to experience life to the fullest. I like to do crazy stuff. And so what better way than to go out in the field with a bunch of strange men for a full weekend and looking for Bigfoot all by myself with these strange men. Yeah. So it was like the best decision I ever made. And it got me, I'm here today to talk to you guys about it. And that was in 2011. Yeah. So it's been a while, but yeah, I just forgot. Wait, what was my train? I just lost my train of thought there. But
we were just talking a bit about Bigfoot and how they operate in the 4th dimension and then come into the 3rd dimension. So when you're talking about that ball, I wonder that ball has to do with they're creating a portal to come in.
Yes, I 100% agree with that. Okay. Oh, that's what I was getting. Is that these gentlemen were like super forward thinking, and when they were telling us about when they were giving their presentation, they really brought the mind, body, spirit aspect into the Bigfoot research. And a lot of people in the field were really just looking for a big old monkey in the woods. Okay, right. And so these guys were way different and super forward thinking. They were kind of open to the idea of Bigfoot being interdimensional, utilizing portals, being connected with ETs and UFOs and other paranormal, phenomenon. And so the first weekend that I went out there with them, and I went on this little expedition, it was like trial by fire. There was so much activity, and I mean, basically got accosted by a low flying UFO. Orbs everywhere, Bigfoot, a potential cloaked Bigfoot ran up behind me and knocked my legs out from underneath me when I was out in the field being bait. Okay, I volunteered to be bait. Okay, Bigfoot bait. Because I was there for the full experience that weekend.
That's very brave of you.
I did. It was fun. But they were all watching me with their thermal and FLIRs, their night vision cameras. And so I was dared to walk up an open field by myself. That was surrounded by trees in the middle of the woods and the mountains of North Georgia. And I knew that if I did that, I knew that they were watching me. So I felt safe. I felt somewhat safe, a little bit safe. Okay. And so, so they were going to be watching me, and I was dared or told if I wanted to, to walk all the way up to this tree line that was about 100 yards to the top of this hill. And so I was like, all right, I asked for it. Okay. So I got my little backpack on, and I started walking up this hill, and I got about halfway up this hill, and I was thinking, well, this is not so bad. It's not so bad. There's nothing up here. But I was a little nervous to get up to that tree line because they had, this was an area where they had a lot of Bigfoot activity. And so I knew there was potential to be something up there. So I got halfway up the hill, and when I was, I was just paying attention. My senses were heightened, and I heard one of the guys running up behind me full throttle as fast as he could. And I played rugby for my college. I know what it's like to get tackled from behind. And that's exactly what I thought was about to happen. And so I remember thinking in my head, I was like, gosh, that is so unprofessional, these guys. Like, why would they do that to me? They're just trying to scare me. And I don't know how I feel about this, in my head.
Yeah.
And so I kept kind of walking, but I slowed my pace, and I was ready for somebody to go boo, and scare me. But as it got up to me, like I felt the energy, I could hear it and I could feel it. I felt the presence. And as whoever it was ran up behind me, they ran right past me, and they swept my legs out from underneath me from behind and kept going past me. And so I like lost my balance a little bit, and I jumped in the air as my legs were getting hit, and I looked over, and there was nothing there. But I felt it, I heard it, and I felt the wind go flying past me as well. So I was shocked, startled, and trying to rationalize what the heck just happened. And so I'm looking around all over the ground and trying to see if I tripped over a log or something, because or a stick had hit the back of my legs. I mean, in a moment like that, it's so confusing. And so I looked around and I didn't see anything, and I thought, man, that is so weird. But I grew up experiencing paranormal stuff, seeing ghosts, talking to spirits, looking for UFOs and things like that when I was a kid. I mean, it was nothing is shocking to me. Okay. And so I thought, man, that's weird. And so I just kept going. Because my brain kept saying, oh, it's just, you just imagine that, I don't know. And I think it was like my higher self trying to calm me down, because I didn't want to look like a total baby in front of all those people. So
right.
It was like something bigger than me was like, calm down and keep walking, put your big girl panties on and keep going. Mm-hmm. And so I kept walking, and I was headed for those trees. And the next thing I know, one of the guys did walk up to check on me, because they did see me kind of throw my hands up in the air. And that was the distress symbol. The signal, did you like this? If something happened. And I didn't really do like this, but I kind of halfway did by accident. So he came and checked on me. And as his name's Craig, as Craig walked up to me, I couldn't see because it was so dark out there. I didn't have any kind of night vision equipment. I didn't have a CB radio. I didn't have anything. It was just me and Mother Nature. And so when he walked up, I turned around and I said, hey, are you human? Is that you? Are you a human? And he was like, yeah, it's me. It's just Craig. And so we were talking, and we went back and we checked to make sure there was no log there or anything that I could have tripped over. And he was telling me some funny stories about Bigfoot yelling at him. It was stuff that was making me laugh to get my mind off of being, anxious. And we walked back up to that tree line, and I felt this pull over to the right-hand corner of that tree line. Something just was pulling me over there. And so as we're talking, I just kind of strolled over to that corner. And you got to remember, I can't see anything. It's dark. And the guys that were down at the bottom of the hill were watching, and they said that as I stood there, a Sasquatch, aka Bigfoot, peeked its head around the tree and was staring at me the entire time I stood there. But I couldn't see it, but something had pulled me over there, and it was just sitting there staring at me like face to face right in front of me. Yeah.
I bet. Yep. She's not the usual type we get out here.
It was wild. It was like, that was my first night ever. And it just got more weird from there on out. I mean, it got so weird that by the end of that weekend, the head of the team said, all right, you guys need to start reading up on alien abductions. And so we had some things happen that were ET related out there that weekend. And sure enough, I started reading up on alien abductions, and guess what happened? I started having ETs in my home at night. So yeah, things have just gotten really weird. They got super weird, super fast. Yeah. All from Bigfooting.
Yeah. Well, it's tapping into the unknown, right? And then once you tap in and allow, more is going to come in because, oh, look, she's comfortable. So we're going to come in and visit. We have a couple questions. Dun, dun, dun. First, Heidi says, unprofessional of the Bigfoot to come up on you like that. Do you think their fur and skin is like cloak material, or do they jump through dimensions?
Yes, both. I think both. Their hair. We actually have a wildlife biologist on my team, and we have such an A team of people on my teams. We even have a nuclear scientist on my team. Okay, we have a little bit of everything, but our wildlife biologist has taken hair samples and really studied them. And I've even brought them on my show once or twice. And they do have a chlorophyll in their hair. Okay, and so that would suggest that either they blend into the trees or they have some sort of element that has something to do with the grass and the trees. I don't know, y'all. It's really interesting. I mean, we hear stories a lot about the trees being portals. And my friend Barry Littleton and we've actually kind of made a connection to those walking trees potentially being Sasquatch too. So I don't know. It's a deep rabbit hole. Okay, if you want to go down there.
Melzie,
go
ahead. I'm just dying. Sorry. So I had this experience. I had a Sasquatch experience this summer when I was camping. I was sleeping, and every night that I sleep, I turn my truck console light off because I'm afraid of it not starting in the morning, because I've had that happen. So I always turn it off, and I was sleeping, and I was opening and closing my door because it was so hot, and I think they probably heard it. So I was up in the Gila Mountains. So there's a lot of there's a lot of caves up there, and I was all alone by myself. It was like the 6th day in, and all of a sudden the light above me went on, and you had to push the light, right? And it was on, and I woke up and I was like, what? Whoa, what's going? Who turned the light on? And my dog wasn't afraid. He didn't alarm, to it. And I shut the light off, and I tried looking out, and I couldn't see anything. And then I started hearing them talking to each other, like kind of in this canyon. And it sounded like one was older and one was younger, and that they sounded kind of like a screech owl, but it was a low screech owl that sounded kind of like apes. But they had a language. They were talking, and I'm used to being in the woods. I go in the woods all the time and camp, and I'm from Wisconsin, and I've experienced all types of animals. And I was like, I don't know what this is. And I went, this is Bigfoot, this is Sasquatch. And then the next morning, I'll have to show you a picture. There's a picture that looks like a face in it. And I was driving back down, and they're I was like, well, where would they come from? And I drove past these rocks, and it looks like there was a cave in it. But I had another experience one time that I want to share with you about, like the cloaking. and the translucentness. I was my girlfriend was moving into this house, and we were moving stuff in and out, and one of my daughter's girlfriends was with me, and we were in between two rooms, and we looked, and there was like this translucent being that was about, you know, like that tall, maybe
The little people.
a little people.
The little people. Yeah.
Yes. And it looked at us, and when we saw it and it realized that we saw it, it jumped off and it went into like the vapor. It was gone.
Oh, yeah. We get that sometimes. There's reports of, and that's kind of like cloaking, I guess you could say. And see, we actually kind of looking back, we believe that could have been potentially a juvenile Bigfoot that hit me from behind. They hit my legs and ran up behind me. They cloak somehow. They have some now. And now, is it the Bigfoot being able to cloak with the environment, like cloaking technology that we have today? Like, are they able to do that with their fur and their hair? Or is it just something that where they raise their vibrational frequency to where we don't have the rods and the cones in our eyes to be able to see it? And that's what I think it is personally.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, that's what I think it is. But yeah, sometimes we do get that thing where it looks like the movie The Predator, where you can see like the glimmery, shimmery outline of something, but it's not, there's like nothing there, but you can see the outline of it. I've been seeing that my whole life with stuff, but we get that out in the woods, and we've been getting a lot of reports of little people lately. I mean, we get a lot of reports of all the cryptids right now. It's as though the veil has gone. It's not just like thin. It's out of here. There ain't no veil. Okay.
It's a matter of adjusting our senses, right?
Yes, it's about raising our, and it's all about raising our vibrational frequency. And that's something else that I stress whenever I'm doing my shows. I've always said to my audience to be sure you go out and have fun, raise your vibrational frequency, do what you can, because that is where you are going, especially if you're doing the research out in the field. And you want to have contact or make yourself known out in those woods, because when myself and my team go out, we are all very psychically switched on, and we're like beacons of light out there. And I think that contributes to us having so much activity with the cryptids, because absolutely we're light, and they're attracted to that light.
Absolutely. And they feel safe with you. Mm-hmm. You're not threatening. It's not like you got the big guns out and you're coming to hunt them, right? As if you could do anything anyway, but yeah.
Right. We would never hurt any of them, unless they try to hurt us, and then we'd have an issue. I have to put them in their place. Just say, get away from me. But they are very territorial. But the places that we go, we have been researching those areas for so long. Some of those guys have been researching them for decades, and we'd like to think we have a relationship with the cryptids out there. They recognize us. Yeah,
100%. And we have another question. What we know as Bigfoot, people don't want to call them big feet. Bahaha. Sent to this dimension on mission. Are they sent to this dimension on missions?
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah, I believe that they're just like humans in a lot of ways. To me, Sasquatch is just a big hairy human. And the Native Americans just considered them to be another tribe. And traded with them, even the werewolves and the dogmen as well, at one point. So yeah, I do believe they come here on missions. We have actually encountered them working with the aliens, the ETs, like the Greys, especially when we were remote viewing particular things that happen out in the field. As a team, some of the people on our teams have remote viewed Sasquatch working with the ETs, more like for the ETs actually. And there are different, like, I'm going to say levels, or like a range of like the intelligence of the Sasquatch, just like the range of intelligence with humans. Okay. So, some of them are like constantly hunting for food. Okay. And just more animalistic kind of. And then there are some that are like higher intelligence than most humans. Okay. And most of them are very telepathic. But there's just a wide range, just like with us humans, and they do have their own language. And I believe what you heard out in the field was samurai chatter. That's what we call that. And if anyone's interested in hearing that, there are recordings called the Sierra Sounds that Ronald Moorhead recorded with his friend. back in I think it was the 1970s. And you can hear it very much. You can hear Sasquatch speaking to each other in the Sierra Mountains out there. So yeah, y'all check that out if you ever get a chance. It's a little scary the first time you hear it, but it's pretty cool.
I listened to it, and I listened to it like right after, and I was like, oh, that's what I heard. And I was kind of like, I got goosebumps, but I didn't feel threatened by them. Because I was out there alone. My phone didn't work. I felt that they were very playful, and that they were like, they turned the light on, like, and then, and this is kind of, I don't know if they drooled or something on the back of my truck, but there's something on the back that I can't get off. Like I'm cleaning it, to come off, but it's still kind of there. Maybe it's gone.
So whenever they touch anything, it's very oily, and that oil is really hard to get off of anything. I mean, we have handprints on people's cars. They have left handprints on like the side of the bathrooms that are out at some of the, one of the, I think it was in North Carolina. Some of my team was up in Uwharrie or somewhere at one of those national forests, and there was one of those little potty rooms, I guess you call it. Like it was almost like an outhouse. And that night, one of the Bigfoots had been out there and had left a handprint. I mean, this handprint was gigantic, but it was all grease. It's like oil. It's they have a lot of oil, like globules in their hair and stuff. So if they touch anything, it's going to be hard to get off because of the oil.
That's what makes them quiet. That's what makes them quiet moving around too when they're here.
Oh yeah. Oh, I didn't think of that. I guess
you think about elk and stuff, right? So the oilier the fur is, the less sound it makes. And I hear they like to eat cabbage. Oh, sorry.
Ooh. Plasma. I don't know. I'm not. I think they're omnivores. Okay, so they eat anything and everything. So I have one of my research buddies. He used to go out and leave rotisserie chickens for them when he'd go out, and so he had like I want to say like a working relationship with the Sasquatch out there, but it's not a good idea to do that. I don't recommend anyone do that because the minute you leave and don't bring a chicken, they're going to get mad. And, things can get dicey. Yeah.
Yeah. And I keep getting asked about the smell.
They
smell, right?
They call them skunk apes for a reason. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
The ones down here.
Is Chewbacca from Star Wars disclosure of Bigfoot?
Totally. Yeah. All of Star Wars is disclosure. Absolutely. I mean, that's what I think. Yeah.
Awesome. Awesome. Yeah. Yeah. Melzie, did you want to ask anything else?
There we go. The button. I had to unbutton it. Well, I'm interested in, I guess, the U.S. UFO abduction, because I when I was in my early 20s, I saw a UFO. I saw the mothership off the coast of Venezuela, and I saw, like, I was doing my dishes in the water, and I could sense this light, and I looked up and I saw this huge ship that took up half the bay, and there were like these little ships that would come out of it like light, and then they would kind of go everywhere, and then like later on in the night, I was awoken by military police who evacuated us off of the beach. So somebody once asked me, how did you go to sleep after that? And I don't have memory of how I went to sleep. And from that moment, like watching to, military police evacuating us off the beach. And then the next morning, I woke up and I remembered about the beach, and my boyfriend, he was the kind of guy that he loved stories, and he would have been telling this story to everybody. But we got up and I saw these people across from us that were in the tent, and I said, hey, did you guys see anything on the beach? And they were like, no, and my boyfriend, I said, well, Arnaldo, tell him. And he goes, I didn't see anything. And I went, what? And later on I asked him, I'm like, why didn't you tell them the truth that you saw something? And he said, I don't know what I saw, and I'm not talking about it. And I was like, we never talked about it again. and for a long time I didn't talk about it with people. But when I was on Twitter, I talked to someone and they said they were a dates person, and they said, "Do you remember the date?" And there was a hurricane that came in to Venezuela. And I think that there's a correlation between hurricanes and portals. And so, or storms, because they create a magnetic vortex. And so I found the date, and he referred it to 9/11, and it was exactly 7,700 days to 9/11. And it was at that point that I was like, that was more than just a mere sighting for some reason. So, I've always had it in the back of my mind. I worked with someone to try to figure out what happened, and it's like I have a psychic block.
Of course.
Like, when she would go through it to try and help me recall, it was like I would go further and further into a deeper sleep. So I'm was I abducted? What happened?
I mean, well, that's why my entire team got trained in remote viewing, was because of what happened to me and my partner out in the field the next night after that first night that I was there, and the Bigfoot peeked its head around the tree. The next day, we did a special Black Ops mission, me and one of the guys on the team, and we were out in the field for like from 3 p.m. until about 12 o'clock that next morning, or 1 o'clock in the morning, sitting there trying to blend into the environment. And the team was going to come out and like make a bunch of noise. We're going to hide in the tree line where that Bigfoot was. The team was going to come out and make a bunch of noise, like a bunch of rowdy campers, and bring their didgeridoos and whatever, drums, whatever, and make noise. And we were hoping that the Bigfoots would not know we were there, and they would step on us, step on me and my partner, in trying to look at what those people were doing. Okay. That was the plan. Okay. But so it didn't really work out that way. The game plan went as planned. But before the team got out there, we started seeing a bunch of lights in the sky that were moving in triangular patterns. And we started noticing like a gigantic light, like an orb, was moving horizontally from right to left across the mountain right beside us. And this bright light, we kept trying to make sense of it. Like, oh, it's got to be a car, driving down a trail. But there were no trails that were straight like that. And then we were like, well, maybe it's a hiker carrying a lantern. And we were like, there's no, it's above the tree line, so it can't be that. And so we don't remember a whole lot about that light, but we do know that we started noticing that our equipment was malfunctioning. Our digital equipment that we had out there, we carry, I had an EVP recorder, K2 meter, stuff that you take like ghost hunting, basically, I had out there. And we had Geiger meters, and I don't remember what all we had, but we had a whole bunch of stuff, all night vision goggles and cameras and stuff. But the digital time on those had changed at some point that night, where my partners went forward an hour and mine went backwards an hour. Okay, so we were a little confused about all that, and we knew that something was going on when the team came out and were being loud. And he and I were sitting there observing, waiting for Bigfoot to walk up on us. And these 2 red lights showed up in the tree line right beside us. And they thought that it was us, but it wasn't us. And so stuff like that was happening. And I was also recording the whole time with my EVP recorder, my recording device. And it took me about a week to listen to that, because we knew that something had happened. We felt very off, like there was something more that happened, but we couldn't put our finger on it. And so the head of my team is an amazing remote viewer. And he said, okay, something more happened to you guys out there. We don't know exactly what, but I'm ready to teach you guys remote viewing if you guys are ready as a team to learn. It's going to take a lot, and you guys are going to have to be super dedicated, and so will I, but I think it'll be worth it. And so we spent the next few years learning remote viewing as a team together, like days on end at a time together. And but okay, about a week later, I listened to that EVP recorder, and I had the head of my team come over to where I live to listen to it with me, because I was scared, because I knew there was something on it. And we listened to it, and around the time that orb, that light showed up over the side of the mountain, it was moving back and forth. It sounded like bottle rockets were being shot off all around us. Pew, 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 pew. And we'd never heard that with our own ears. Okay. So, and as soon as we finished listening to that, it deleted all by itself. So I was glad. Yeah, I was glad that he was there to hear that with me. But yeah, that he'd already told us. We think that maybe you had some ET activity. It was something that they had always suspected, that Bigfoot and ETs were connected. But it wasn't. When I went out there, I brought some high strangeness with me apparently, and crap hit the fan. Okay, that weekend I was out there, and so the research as a team went from just Bigfoot field research to aliens and ETs and all this other stuff. So it's been interesting for me. I've never been just a Bigfoot field researcher. I pretty much research whatever's out there.
Absolutely. And there's going to be so much more, which is fascinating, right?
Yes. Yeah. I'm excited. Yeah. I love it.
Yeah. Absolutely. We need to wrap it up in about 5 or 6 minutes for today, but we look forward to having you back. Yeah.
Well, I'll come back anytime. I love it. Yeah. I'd love to come back.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Melzie, did you have any last parting words you wanted to share about this?
Well, I'm so glad you came on, Jessica, and shared all that you did and all your research and the things that you're, discovering and helping us to understand like this other dimension, right, that we have living here with us, and who these beings are, what they may want from us, what is our journey with them. And so I think it's exciting. It's stimulating to me, and it helps me, have answers to some of the questions I have. Like the night that I saw the UFO in Venezuela changed my life forever. Like you said, right? Like I wanted to know what it was I saw, where it came from, how it worked, and what it meant to my world. And here I am, almost 30 years later, and I have some of the answers and some I don't. But it's like a big piece, like a puzzle, right? And you have different puzzle pieces that you now have better understanding of. So thank you for coming on. I've enjoyed it.
Thank you. Thank you. I don't know if we'll ever know all the answers, but we're trying to piece it together. And that's why it's so important for people like ourselves to tell our stories, because when we tell our stories, it's very healing for other people, and just for us to share ours so that they can feel confident to go share their stories. And I like to say that Bigfoot is raising the consciousness of this planet one Bigfoot sighting at a time.
Okay. Yeah, that's a good tagline. I like it. Norma, how about you?
Jessica, thank you so much for coming on. This was so much fun just to get to hear your story and how you got started, and like I said, I mean, definitely we want everybody to be able to share their story, because here we accept any and everyone where they are. And that's the uniqueness about each individual story that someone has to share, is that it's all uniquely theirs. So yes, thank you. Just love it.
Yeah.
And thank you.
And shout out to Tracy for introducing us when we were down in Georgia to Jessica, because it's like this big spider web of energy, not unlike the ley lines, where we get to connect with these people that we resonate with, and we get to swap stories and hang out and have a chat, go play at a waterfall with your son and figure out that it's Ormus water, clear a cemetery on the way out of souls.
That was amazing.
It's just all in a day.
It was. And that's where we have had dogman reports from that exact same area where that waterfall was. So that was cool to get to go there with you guys.
Yeah. Absolutely. And we will be traveling this winter at some point, maybe early next year. In a travel trailer with a convoy of people to go hang out with fun things.
Nice. I'll come. Y'all swing by and pick me up. Y'all come.
And your son, absolutely. Yeah, I saw that video of him going up to the tank and all his gear. That was so sweet. Yeah.
Thank you. He loves World War II right now. He's really obsessed with being a soldier and stuff right now. So
yeah. And that's okay. Well, look what you're taking him out to do. He wants to be prepared.
Yes. He's hunting for skinwalkers is what he likes to say. I don't know what his classmates think about him. My goodness. He's all over. He's just a baddie. Yeah. So it's cool.
Yeah. Absolutely. And yes, Penny, you can crash. Yeah. And in the Pacific Northwest. Absolutely. So we'll be speaking about it loud and proud, of course. So in the meantime and in between time, we're going to give up the studio for FCB. So he's on here in about 10 minutes or so. So everyone can chat with him. And again, thank you so much, Jessica. Lovely to have you. Thanks for everyone showing up. We appreciate you. And yeah, look forward to seeing you soon. We got tonight, we have the Pulse going on. Tomorrow, what is tomorrow? Thursday? It's
Thursday, yeah.
Yeah, it's Jules doing sidereal astrology, and she's always got a good subject. Yeah, and then Friday night, I do believe it's a live rapid fire with FCB if they haven't changed it around, and they may have. I'm not quite keeping up with their schedule because it moves every week. And then Saturday at 1 p.m. we have Adventures for Connection, and we have Ashala coming back on to do some astrology with us so we can ask her some questions. And Melzie's going to join us too, and Norma will be here in my studio. Yeah, so that's exciting. All right, you guys, we love you. See you soon.
Bye.